this morning when we come in there. We killing that coronavirus in our office.
That's right.
You gotta get up around 1:30.
They can't take the heat.
Turn the heat up.
If it ain't killing this weekend, I don't know what will.
Amen.
I see we over 100 cases now. All right.
113.
We got a bunch of tests in the last couple of weeks too, so.
It looks like this has got to play out.
I think hospitalizations are still, what, 7 or they got
It's 9.
9?
The mortality rate's low, right?
Here?
That was
Really?
0.
Zero.
I mean, everywhere it's low though.
Yeah.
The more you test, you're gonna find out that the mortality rate go down because what you were getting at the beginning, that the only ones you knew about was those that were really sick.
So all this we've done, and all this money we lost, and everything, and maybe it's gonna be mortality less than blue.
It's about to lose its epidemic name. It is
What?
no longer qualifies for an nationwide epidemic.
The flu vaccine, we had that flu vaccine now, the flu problem gave us the mortality rate would be higher on that. Because
In the state, it's about 9% of the tests,
It's crushed our
9.3% has been
Oh,
positive.
yeah.
So 1 out of every 10 coming back.
Yeah, how many are asymptomatic?
Boo. Yep.
A lot. The cases are more pronounced out to more contagious.
Gentlemen, I'd like to call the Monday, July 6th, 2020 meeting of the Lincoln Board of Commissioners to order. I'd like to begin by asking Mr. Thompson, if you would, give us an indication of which three days you consider to be
You got you. Father God in heaven, we thank you, being God Almighty, heaven, no power in your hand. Father, we come to you now, Lord, from your power, that you will be within the midst, that when two are here together, that you are in the midst. We ask you to conduct this meeting to be pleasing in your order, and that we will do things according to the business of the county, be pleasing in your sight. Father, we thank you for those that are here. We thank you for those that want to be here. Father, we ask you to continue to bless us. Father, we ask you to be with us and see us through this pandemic. We know that all things come from you, and we ask you to continue to allow our county to grow and get through this. We thank you. We give you all the praise and glory in your Son, Jesus Christ's name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. We don't have a chance to review the agenda, have changes, additions, deletions. Not all entertain motion to adopt.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Next item is the approval of minutes from the May 20th virtual call meeting and the June 1st, 2020 virtual call meeting.
Mr. Chairman, after reading the minutes, I'll make a motion to approve those minutes, please.
I'll second. That first, a motion to second to approve minutes.
Commissioner McCrary,
No.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
No.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes. All right.
And can I say why I didn't agree with it? I know with our virtual meeting, you can't hardly hear, and it was not clear to me where you made the motion. I thought we were gonna get a price on, tearing down the building and purchasing a new building. I didn't know we were voting to tear down the building and get a price on the building. I thought we were gonna get an estimate on both so we could make a logical decision whether we go ahead with that project. Or, I think we already had an estimate of $30,000 to rebuild the building that we had. So that's why I voted no.
I thought the same, when I went back and tried to listen to it on YouTube, you couldn't even understand what was being, it was so, the sound was so poor. You couldn't tell what was said, what was said.
For the record, as one making a motion, my motion was to demolish the existing building because of its condition and get prices on it.
I just didn't understand it.
So no.
Ralph, you weren't at that meeting?
Sir?
You was not at that meeting?
I was, but he made the motion, he was on the, he kept breaking in and out, you had to keep stepping in, and I didn't understand it that way. But, I mean, it's what it is, I didn't understand.
All right, so noted as to the reason for the no votes. Okay. Next item is presentations and announcements. I think we have none. Citizens' concerns, we have none on the agenda. Public meetings, we have none. Consent agenda, none. Old business, none. New business, we have very, very numerous things. One is to consider and approve the contract for the 2020 MIG striping supplemental contract.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Elton, you mind? We'll go over that, Mr. Elton will. This is a supplement, part of LMIG, and we'll have to match 10% on that, and we'll do that out of T-Sports.
We did put that out for bids. It was for striping on 24.74 miles of roads scattered throughout the county. And we received 2 bids on it. One was from Mid-State Construction at $91,750, and Peak pavement marking at $75,950. And we, of course, we recommend that we go with the low bid of $75,950 with Peak pavement markings. And this MIG is 9% funded by the state, so there will be 10% match. There'll be a $7,595 match required for that. We anticipate that would come, it either would have to come from the 25%.
Come on,
T-Splosh, Splosh or,
T-Sports, the discretionary.
the discretionary, discretionary. So anyway, there'll be that much match with that. So anyway, that's our recommendation, is go with $25,950.
So those numbers.
75,
Say again?
75,000.
Yeah, it's in-
75,950, yeah, sorry.
That's under item number A. It's right up there in the spreadsheet.
Gotcha.
Bill Schuman couldn't be here this afternoon, so Elton, and Bill, this is what his analysis was.
Okay. I see the numbers now. 91,750 was Mid-State. Peak was 75,950. Okay. All right, I make a motion.
I make a motion, we, accept the $75,950.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
You can get Bill to give us a list of the roads? Yeah, I actually have a list. You don't want to get them before you leave, I can get you a copy. Yeah, okay.
We'll email them out to y'all if y'all want.
Do you feel like the bids are equal? Do you feel like the clause is the same as what we're getting there?
Yes, sir, I feel like we've had both do services for us along this line, and I wouldn't turn around for the difference.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Dale. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Item B, under new business, is considered for the contract with Heart of Georgia Omaha Regional Commission and Wayne County Transit.
Mr. Chairman, these are renewals every year. DNC, one of them's with the Heart of Georgia, where we get refunds from DHS of their FAR services, and the money's disclosed through there. And we have a contract with them to reimburse us for those services. So this is just an annual renewal of that contract. And Section C will be one for the Ware County Board of Health, which we are under. We're part of Ware County Board of Health.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract for Georgia Regional Commission and Wayne County Clerk.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox, Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, item C, which is considered for the contract for Ware County Board of Health and Wayne County Transit. And like Mr. Administrator was playing, we are in the region for the Ware County Department of Health. And this is another yearly renewal, with Wayne County Transit. I'll make the motion.
A second.
Discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
The next one is consider approving the contract for the Superior Court probation services, and I guess we would do the CSRC, that's all right.
This is a annual renewal as well. This is for the Superior Court. We did the one for state court, which is the private one. This is the state one as well, and this is for Superior Court. So it's an annual renewal.
And this is for them to handle our probation services.
Yes, it is.
See to it that they're meeting their requirements, collect fees, and so forth.
Yes, this is with CSRA, and the same one we had, and it's similar, they're not saying that state court was, so this is just for Superior Court.
I'll make a motion, we accept that contract.
Second.
Motion, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Okay, next item is consider approved bids for emergency medical vehicle type.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like Richard to come up and speak to that. We out of the SPOS money, so there, we got emergency safety vehicles up there. Part of that is an ambulance. And as you know, we spent a lot of money on ambulances here the last couple of 3 years since I've been here. I think we've resolved some of those issues, but each one of them have a lot of miles on them. We went out and bid, had a lot of discussion about specs on this new vehicle. And I'd like Richard to speak to those, if you don't mind. But you'll see the bid. We only had one bid come back. These are special order vehicles, and they're long delivery items, and payment is in the time of pickup. So
Mr. Chairman, this is the original budget.
this is in SPOS. This is not in the general fund. Mr. Richard?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the one we're looking at replacing is a 97 truck. So, as y'all know, we run a lot of calls, we went close to 5,000 this year. Pretty much on the one, so, like I said, we just need to replace that one with something we can use and try to keep our whole fleet, up to date. We sent out 3 bids, they all received them, we got certified copies back, and when the bids came back in, Amanda and I were here, opened them, and that was all this year. We've done this with these folks before.
All 3 of them.
Sir,
All 3 of them.
that was the one that actually submitted the bid. That's
And the other 2, we've never bought anything from.
These other companies?
Yes, the other 2.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Will this retire the beast?
I'm sorry?
Will this retire the beast finally?
Yes, yes.
Good.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
we may repurpose it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
It's a big vehicle over there, but, I mean, it serves a useful purpose, and it comes in pretty handy sometimes, but it's a big vehicle.
Well, it sounds like we don't do any due diligence on getting the prices in.
Well, I want to sit there and make a point about this thing. We've gone through a lot of research. Richard has reached out to several county agencies associated with ambulances, and this is a different one. This is we've been doing the Chevy, chassis of them, but they wanted, we decided over there to get away from the diesel. You know, we're short runs and back into, felt like gas was the thing to do. Glenn County has it, Richard reached out to them, and they really satisfied with those vehicles down there. And, so he put it in the spec, so all three of them had that same spec over there. So this is gonna be a gas power, engine, so it's 350 chassis.
3,500, yes, sir, one-ton chassis.
Yeah.
And Glenn County, just for your knowledge, they've been running 10 years. Haven't had any major problems with them. Sir, that's not Dodge, it's what I spec out Dodge.
What's that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Tall ones, the sprinters, or?
It's a one-ton pickup frame, like the ones we got, just don't have a bigger chassis, if you guys decide.
I think the Sprinter is designed for a more narrow basis.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it makes it more susceptible for rollover. Top heavy, but these are wider, these Dodges are wider.
And those are good if you're carrying dialysis patients, or you got a major trauma patient, 2 or 3 people in the back, they're just, it's hard to work in.
The sprinters? Yeah, I had 3 of them, and then if you got a good wind, you can feel it.
Yeah,
Big
it's,
stuff.
it'd be the same size box as we have now, just on the Dodge. Gas, heating, chassis, like I said, I talked to them extensively, the fire chief down there. They've run 10 years, and they don't want to change. They have the same issues we did with the depth system. And the way those are designed, the depths, you have to run them so long, then they go in that reach-in mode. And our trips, a lot of times, are short, 2 or 3 miles, and it doesn't ever go into the region, and then it'll shut the truck down. We gotta do something different.
Get rid of the DAF system.
Yeah, we have done that, and we
Done
broke them, programmed them, but, you know, like, we can get this straight up out of the box and not have to aftermarket do anything to it, you know, that sort of thing.
So the ones that you talked to, the other, I assume the other counties that have vehicles, did you ask them anywhere we could get bids on it? I mean, I just hate to get one bid and the other 2 obviously either don't manufacture this type of vehicle or don't want to produce one. Did you get any ideas on where they get their vehicles?
10H, one of the biggest companies around, I mean, they're reputable, you know, all these companies are reputable ambulance builders.
Well, I'm just saying to get something comparable, so that we're not just, you know, I don't doubt that they'll do it because they put in a bid for it. But I didn't know if we could get somebody else to bid on it so we can see if actually 144 is fair or if it's way over.
Yeah, it's similar to what we bought the last one, I mean, they're right there at the same, you know, price range. That's-
It could be 10-8 and that other company just produces so many of them that it also would turn into a way longer lead on getting the truck in.
I mean, they all got bids and they, you know, they received
We
them.
got a return receipt requested too, so we know for a fact they received the bid package.
And they do produce this type of vehicle?
Yes,
Well, they'll purchase the vehicle and then they'll put the box on it. These are, they'll buy the Dodge vehicle. from Dodge,
I understand.
And then they'll come in and put the package on.
Yeah, they'll put it on whatever you specify.
Right.
That's all they-
Well, just
Tell
for
me
2
what
of them
more
not
about
even bid on it just seems funny to me. For us not to get 3 bids on something, so we have something to compare it to and at least pick the lowest bid. I mean, to me, I would suggest finding another company, a couple more, and see if we can get some, and if they're higher, then so be it, but if they're lower, we just save the county taxpayers money by getting some other one.
How long is it for specified? Yeah, and to,
What's that?
we can send them out, I mean, we'll get one for Texas. If we get a problem with one for Texas, the people that we gotta deal with is in Texas. I try to get bids for people that we can actually have a reach.
That's right.
Out of Florida. This company works out of Georgia, I mean, we can get one from New York, but we got a problem. And I've seen that happen in Pierce County. They bought some Mercedes from Ohio. Well, then you got a problem. If you got a problem, then they're in Ohio, you're here.
Well, I'm just thinking about looking at counties surrounding us maybe they purchase there so we can get
A
some.
lot of them use, custom truck and body work.
That's
A
right.
lot of them, do. They use that same too.
I just wanna find the ones that don't. Maybe they're getting a better deal or something. I mean, do y'all agree or?
I think they've done their due diligence to get this price and get this lowest price. And based on the fact that we've reached out to surrounding counties on what kind of box they were using and who they bought them from.
Liberty County, they use Custom Works, they use Dodge Chassis, Glenn County. I mean, yeah, I've talked to them, and that's,
It's senseless for us to reach out and get bids again if we have to reach out as far as Tennessee or Alabama to purchase them from.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, look at some of the others to see. I mean,
There are no others except these that are local. Custom Fire Excellence and 10-8 are about the only ones that are around this area.
how do we know that?
They've done their due diligence and done research on it.
There's no others,
manufacturers, and look.
yeah, that actually customize
It's not,
these?
no, it's not in this area.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking, have you talked to other counties to find out where they get theirs
Yeah,
from?
Ware County uses Custom Works, Liberty County uses Custom Works, I mean, Athens County bought some from them, I mean, that's,
Okay, well, that answers my question.
okay, yes.
That's what I was.
I mean, yes,
know.
sir.
We look,
Yeah, we sent out to 3 companies, we get the one back, and, I'm satisfied with the trucks we've got from them. We hadn't done an ambulance manufacturer problem, it's been a Chevrolet problem with the depth systems. You know, it's not the ambulance component, it's been the drivetrain that we've had issues.
These people don't have vehicles, they just put the box in there.
That's right,
that's right, they customize it.
yeah, they actually build the boxes and then mount them to the chassis.
So we save some money too by going to gas versus the diesel.
Absolutely, maintenance is less, fuel's less.
Fuel will go up though, cause I can tell you,
It will.
gas sucks a lot more than diesel does.
I talked to them about that, they were getting around 7 miles a gallon, that's what we're getting now.
Mm.
I mean, it's a 13,000-pound truck with a full parachute, you know, I mean, you're not gonna
Running wide open.
Richard, I also think that, these times we're in with the COVID-19, GM Ford, Daimler Chrysler had problems, producing vehicles, so, I think that may play a factor in that as well, so,
Absolutely.
you got a reputable company and most everybody go to them, so I'm satisfied with that.
This is also a long lead time, this is 6
Yeah,
months.
we're talking minimum 6 to 9 months, because after, if it's approved and we order it, it's gonna be, it takes that long. They do it within, 6 months after they receive the chassis. And it can take months, or maybe longer for COVID.
It's a Dodge you're using, right? So why would Dodge over Chevrolet don't make and Ford don't make a gas powered one?
They do, but the people that I talked to, they were using them and not having problems. And Liberty and Glenn County, I mean, both of them.
They felt like they got better service out of Dodge than they did in Ford and Chevrolet.
I don't know anybody that's done the Chevrolet gas. Ford's got a new Chevrolet motor, I'm kind of leery of those, the big, it's new.
Ford's got a Chevrolet one?
I mean, the Ford,
Oh,
yeah,
You have
no,
to use it.
the Ford.
Okay, based on this, I'm gonna call a question and make a motion that we purchase this vehicle at $144,000 price.
I second.
Have a motion, second, any more discussion? Ralph, you got any questions on the, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Mr. Chairman, I got a testimony. I got an 02 Dodge with 275,000 miles on it, runs just like it's new,
Thank you, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Richard, appreciate it.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is,
you would've done that,
you know.
done that,
I think there should be something we could do
Then
with
put a
this,
box
since we
on.
take off all of our stuff.
Oh, well, it's in my will to go to my son, it's gonna last that long.
But that's, we just say, and the diesel engines and vehicles like this, the expertise of working on them is minimal around here. You got this specialized.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Yes, sir, you good?
All right.
Thank
item
y'all.
F, yes, sir. Consider approving the purchase of, or bids for farm tractors from Bush Hog Railroad and Motors.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, this again is coming out of, SPOS, it'd be SPOS 3, we take that money out of there, but I would like, Mr. Buddy and Mr. Elton to speak on this. They went through due diligence on these right here. We talked long and hard about it, and they've come up with some recommendations. Go ahead, everybody.
We discussed a lot of things, we've had some problems with some of the tractors, but we felt like we needed to go up a size in the tractors we're using for normal mowing. And we're recommending that we buy 2 tractors, one that's slightly larger than what we've been using for mowing, along with a new mower to go with it. And then another one that's somewhat larger than that. It will replace an old tractor that's pretty ancient, and we use it to pull harrows on construction projects, and we only have one tractor that pulls them. So one of these will replace that, and if we should decide to move into using batwing mowers, it will accommodate a batwing mower also. So it gives us some options to things to do in the future, and in the meantime, we can run a regular mower behind it too. So one of these tractors will be 73 horsepower minimum, and the other one would be 85 horsepower, and that's PTO horsepower, so it's somewhere around 85 engine horsepower and 100 engine horsepower roughly.
Isn't it 85 or less does not have the DEF system on it?
70.
I got some mixed numbers, but everything that we've looked at that fit in these categories did have a DEF system.
I think it was 75 or less.
We couldn't get away from it.
But it's running on a consistent basis, and long hours over there, so unlike the ambulance, it's gonna go for a short run.
You don't have the region problem, do you?
Right.
Sure you should. I just bought one, and it just came out of the shop. I mean, that DEF system is awful, I don't care what it's on. If
We
you-
dealt with it with international truck.
So the 73 horsepower will not have one,
No, it will have, is my understanding.
okay?
So we're not able to get away from the DEF, is what I'm saying.
What's the negative part of that DEF system?
It's, they don't know how to fix them. When they go down, mine, I ran it, it gave me a countdown and it went to idle and would not do anything else. And you take it into them and they don't know how to fix them. The only thing they knew to do is to replace the whole system. And it was $4,000 for mine. It was under warranty, but what I'm looking at is, you know, we use these tractors for years.
Right.
Um,
That's right.
And I'm telling you, it's bad. In Ohio, they have a technician that lives on the farm. I know we're getting off subject, but he lives on the farm to fix that DEF system on those tractors to keep those farmers going. They actually it's that bad. I mean,
You gotta just, it'll stop itself sometime or it'll be like he's talking about.
and it's, yeah, and if it detects anything wrong with the fluid that you put in there, whether it's right or not, it will shut the tractor down.
Well, every company we looked at had, for these models and that horsepower, had the DEF on it. So, I mean, if you're really talking about buying a smaller,
What kind are we looking at?
We're looking at John Deere's and New Balance.
Okay.
And we, anyway, one of them, one would be a minimum 73 horsepower PTO at PTO, and the other would be 85 minimum horsepower at PTO. But they do both have DEF, is my understanding.
For those of us that don't understand what DEF is, it's a diesel efficiency system that the government required to be placed on all diesel vehicles and equipment. It's another fluid that you have to add, similar to a radiator or coolant fluid. It's in a different reservoir, and it causes the emissions from the diesel to be more efficient.
To burn it off.
To burn it off.
Yeah,
Instead of
the
letting it out
exhaust
to the atmosphere. That's what the DEF system that's what it represents.
We're not gonna get away from it. It's here to stay, and I think from that standpoint, to your point about the DEF, we don't understand it. You can't get anybody to work on these around here. It's very expertise over there, so we need to make sure we are focusing on our ability to troubleshoot and repair these things in the future. So we'll focus on that, but we can't get away from it.
So, if there's no more questions on that, I'll go on to the bids. Good. We've got received bids from three companies. One is Ag Pro out of Brunswick. They bid for the two tractors, $115,301.84. That's the John Deere. And then New Holland at Blackshear, Dixon Tractor Company, bid $118,300. Then John Deere at Mershon bid $118,976.99. So based on the bid, we would recommend that we go with the low bid of $115,301.84. And these were all comparably equipped, so.
Y'all having problems with the Kubotas?
Yes, sir.
You are.
Yes, sir.
Front end.
So,
Yes,
yes,
so it has some
Front end
significant problems with the front end. With them leaning like that on the ditch, I was putting pressure on that wheel,
Mm-hmm.
the bearings that went out, just in one of them, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times since 2018. Bearings went out in front.
and we made them, since we made
Yeah,
this list,
since I made this list, it went out again, so,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times. So I'm replacing front end after front end after front end.
Right.
But it's the pressure that the tractor's feeling on those slopes, I
Mhm.
believe, and we looked at the front ends on these tractors, they're built totally different than Kubotas. And so our John Deere's, even our older ones that, 99 models,
You ain't gonna beat that.
it's, those front ends is just built, but these are comparable to those.
Buddy and Elton went out and got Timmy Martin with the maintenance shop, and they went and reviewed all the specifications up there and talked about their problems and engineering out or buying something that we won't have a repeat problem. We may have a DEF system, but we're not going, the problem with our tractors right now, being that front end, just going out constantly because of the.
Hold out, sure, look.
Just
Look
right
at
now.
what they, and realize what it was.
Well, and that's why I was asking the question,
Yeah.
to make
the
sure.
Kubota has a bevel, a gear drive in the front, and that bevel gear sits right down at the very bottom of the gearbox. So if you get any metal fragments or anything, it's just sitting there grinding, and that's probably part of that. But in any case, yes, we've had a lot of problems.
So that saying, if we had bid Kubota, again, we would spend more money in the difference between Kubota and John Deere in further maintenance.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Given that and the due diligence, I'm gonna make a motion to accept the Ag Pro Company's bid.
Second.
115,308.
Second.
Any more discussion?
So how many mowers would that give us for ditching?
We got, this will make 4 cab tractors. The rest of it, we got some older tractors that's non-cab that they do use. If one of them goes down, I'm gonna put them on one of those, but
There'll be 4 mowers out there, it'll be a rotation.
I would rather have them in a cab if I could, with the dust and everything that they breathe out there.
We have some other tractors that we use for things like running water pumps, things of that nature.
Spring-proof.
And what'll happen is we'll sell off the worst of what we got, and then, we'll take the ones that were retired from the mowing and move them into position where
I
they're not.
think one of them was an 86 model and one of them's a 70 model.
So we have 4 full-time mowers? It is
We've got what?
mowers. Like
Four.
We have 4 capable of going out there,
Yeah.
but of course I pull some of those guys and use them for.
2 of them are gonna be Kubota.
That's right. Two of them will continue to be
I'm pulling
Kubotas.
people to do different jobs till we get a right amount of people back where we can fill that crew up.
I know Buddy and I talked a little bit about a Batwing mower, and y'all didn't put a price for one in here. Have y'all looked at any prices or done anything? Because we were talking about it, and it takes 4 days to mow the airport. 4 tractors running full time?
Three
Three
probably,
tractors.
it takes me a
Okay.
week.
Right.
Usually it's around a week. It
And you
takes-
talking about just open
just
ground out there
And
to
the
me?
Kubotas do good on stuff like that, I mean, they make time, but if you get them on slopes, I think you'll find you have a bear problem.
What I'd like to do on what I'd like to see us do on the batwing mowers is look at the cost of one, and look at how practical it is to use and how many areas we can use it in. There's some places we can't run them, but I think it's worth evaluating and seeing if it's worthwhile to spend the money just for a batwing to do the airport and the landfill, some of those things, you know, it doesn't take long to swap them over.
Sounds like.
What's so good about the battle?
Oh, it covers 3 mowers.
Just puts a larger
With
area.
one guy, with one guy.
One guy, and they're talking about the Kubota is not very good on slope, so you could put the Kubota out at the airport and run the back, isn't it a 70 horse, the Kubota?
65.
Okay, so you could probably run it out there and you cover 3 men's work at one time. Instead of having 3 men out there working four full days.
I'd like to review the economics of it and see, you know.
All right, let's get to the vote on this one, and then we'll come back and do some discussion on it.
I got discussion on that. So, this is coming out of SPOS money, right? I'm just real about the tractor, I'm not the tractor guy, because I'm more about how we're making decisions on spending SPOS. Did we decide we need tractors when we initially set that SPOS up, or we kind of did it as we go?
It falls under the transportation umbrella.
I realize that, but I mean, don't we budget that?
Put a 5-year plan together. We put the 5-year plan together, we talked about it, Commissioner, the audit vote on going out for, a mowers or whatever, but this is their need from that standpoint, and it's in the SPOS, and this is approval, and we're coming to you for approval on that, so. We debated about what they need to have, and amongst Buddy and Elton and Timmy, and, what we're seeing a problem with, we had some issues with motor graders, but that's $300,000 a piece up there, and trying to stretch this money out and pave the roads that we got on the list.
But that's what I'm getting, I mean, so when we voted on this SPOS, you had to segment what you was gonna do with the money, you had a budget.
Yeah.
So, when we did that, did we plan on buying a tractor as part of that money, or is this something done as?
You don't get into that much detail on that. You get into the fact that you're gonna spend it on certain transportation costs, whether it be, certain pipes that you can buy, or tractors, or road graders, or front end loaders. It falls under transportation. And it's not, if you don't get into the, on the referendum, you don't get down into the nitty gritty.
Is this gonna take away from something we thought we was gonna buy with the money?
No, sir, this is all part of that, and, equipment is, you may think 5 years ago you need some personal equipment, this year you need something else. So the roads are identified up there, and all the roads that were on that SPOS list are there. And what I've done and what I've put out there to that SPOS, when we had that T-SPOS meeting, is here's the roads, and here's when we're gonna spend it, or do it, and here's target to do it up there, to making sure that we had enough money that the budget of those road paving projects were in there. And an X amount of money associated with equipment, whatever may come up. It may be dump trucks next year that we need to have versus tractors. It may be a motor grader, but I hope not, because that's an expensive item right there. It may be that we need a couple more motors, but that's how it's done.
Yeah, there's an earmark for equipment set aside that doesn't eat into the road projects. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you.
Okay, item G, consider approving the foreclosed tax for the length of property.
Mr. Chairman, last time we left it here, I got two properties over here. This is off the same list we've been working on for a while. So, what I want to kind of talk to you about here is two properties. One of them is the property on South Macon Street. Is it Macon Street? Brunswick, excuse me. South Brunswick Street that we tabled for the last time, okay? And what I'm trying to do is make sure that I don't overwhelm, because some of these properties come with problems in the title search and whatever, so I just want to make sure I don't have issues up there. Now, the one on South Brunswick Street, what I may ask is a suggestion that we set the minimum bid at $5,000. We had it at $14,000, nobody was bidding on it. I've had a couple of people that come back. One of them came to Mr. Beaver's office, he was doing business with him, he was interested. And, he for 6,000. There's somebody else came in that said, that she called me up about it, and they're interested in it. So I would suggest either $5,000 or $6,000 minimum bid. You wanna set it down there and let it go to sale.
That's Brunswick Street.
That's Brunswick Street, that's the one that we tabled.
Commissioner Hickox, didn't you want to take the building inspector and go look at that to see if it was salvageable?
We've done that twice.
Ain't got a bid either, so.
Commissioner Hickox wanted to go look at it with the building inspector. Did you do that?
No, sir, I didn't. No, I didn't.
And I will tell you, I've had 2 or 3 builders and people that are in this business, and I say builders, they're into refurbishing and doing rental
I'm
homes.
just surprised at that, so.
Yeah, they have bid on it. They're
It's a
basically
hot
said,
rental market right now.
what I've told, and they're reputable people, I'm gonna put their name out there, but they're reputable people, good pillars of the community, and they're in that business, and they basically said, listen, man, I can't, it ain't worth that kind of money, I can't turn it, I'm gonna have to demolish the building. Now, these other individuals said they're gonna refurbish it, but I don't know, for most cases, if they're demolish the building, get the lot price on there, just put something else on there. So, everybody thinks it's a great location, everybody thinks that it's just the cost of it. I just suggest over there, we lower the cost of it, see when the kids come back, and maybe we'll get $75,000,
Well,
$80,000.
it's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it, so if you lower it, and it's whatever it's worth, people are gonna bid it.
People will bid it, and maybe they'll bid it up higher, and maybe we'll get some action on it, but right now, we're not getting any action.
I'm surprised though, but, yeah, lower it down, but it's worth what's in
And they're doing us any good right now.
No.
So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd suggest $6,000. And if somebody wants to come back and bid 75 or whatever, I can.
what was it at now?
We had a 14.
14 was the last one, but it wasn't like that.
Commissioner Hickox, you wanna throw a higher number than 6,000?
I'd pay that. But I'm saying, listen.
Well, you had a chance to go get the building inspector and bid on it.
I can't bid on y'all bid. But, yeah, if you put it at 6,000, people are gonna bid against that. I mean, it'll be whatever you want, it's gonna be where the market will be.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah, but let's get it.
being you're the closest to a real estate, in the real estate market, make a motion with a number.
Do 6,000. I think they're competitively bid that way.
Well, you at
Make a motion.
least got one
Make a
that agreed,
Yes.
6,000.
Somebody's already said that, they said.
Okay, a second, motion.
So I have a motion and a second to set the price
I said
of
we get it all for
455
it.
South Brunswick at $6,000.
I agree with that.
Right motion.
Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion?
Get it off the agenda.
Okay, Madam
Yes.
Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, another piece of property is,
Yeah, we got one more, and listen, we're just trying to do this piece, but this one may be, there's some landlocked issues with this. This is, it says it's a quarter of an acre, but it is, there's no street access to this. This is on Beechwood, for Rainier. It's behind the trailer park and behind somebody's house and shed. And the young lady called me up and she was interested. I didn't know, it was on the agenda. She said, I got a piece of property, somebody digging a hole back over there. And I said, well, ma'am, we own it. So, you know, it was on the original list up there, but it's landlocked. The guy didn't pay any taxes on it. Denise had it down for like $1,100, $1,170. The minimum bid, I think, on Q Public, it got 2,000 something on that, but there's minimum access. The owner of the house in front of it is interested in it because they won't quit the whole dig. Somebody getting dirt out of there next to the trailer park. And this was given up in 2016 and it foreclosed on it.
It says landlocked.
is this, you talking about the Art Van property?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's County Line Road, isn't it? County Farm, off Rainier.
It's off of Rainier, it's off Beechwood. You go down, you go Rainier and you get on Beechwood.
Okay.
And there's a trailer park, and you go down about 4 trailers, and it's right behind that. But the next house there before Ohio Road. Yeah.
Art Bennett used to live out there, and this was one of the lots he had, and he was right, the only access was Art Bennett. Being the surrounding, the joint owner, there's no county road or county line road that join his property whatsoever, so I can see that.
And the only one that's interested over there, a young lady said she was interested, so I would sit there and say, minimum bid, I would suggest to y'all, the minimum bid be what Denise had on there is $11.70.
So you got one bidder is all you're gonna get.
That's the only one who can access it.
The
It'd be
trailer-
futile for anybody else to buy.
There's a trailer park, and I forgot who owns that trailer
It used
park.
to be Holy Moody, I don't know who it is now.
It may, but, you know, those would be the only two, and there's no access to this thing.
All right, I'll make a motion.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Do that. So I don't remember this property right off the top of my head, man, of course, we've been on a long list. I hadn't done a title search on it as of now, but if the property's landlocked and there's no other way to get to a road, you might have some issues, if it doesn't wind up being that person who owns it, you might have some issues with title as far as them being able, because by state law, every property's got to have ingress and egress to a county road. So if that's not there, we may be better suited, there's a couple of different ways, when you have an odd shaped piece of land or landlocked, that you may be able to sell it for the highest, the best use to the surrounding landowners, and she owns all the surrounding land. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to put it off just for, let me look at this property and see if, can we table this one for a month and let me see what the actual landscape of this and see where the roads
I don't
go.
know.
Because I don't want to get in a situation where somebody does come up and outbid the homeowner, and then you got an issue with,
All right, Tommy, I'll make a motion that we table this one.
I'm not sure if there's an easement right now on it to get to
There's,
it.
right, it was to me, there was a landowner kind of bid process, and
The previous one.
that's all the land I had.
You think?
I was gonna keep it at two.
So you're saying if you put it to bid and someone else outbid, then we'd have problems getting it out.
I mean, again, we're only conveying a quick thing, but at the same time, you're gonna raise issues for all the surrounding homeowners. I don't know if that's something y'all really want to do. It might just be easier to look at a different process if it's how he's kind of described it, how I'm seeing it in my head, but.
We have a motion second to table that. That what you use?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a discussion of alcohol ordinance to allow for infused products and mobile trailer alcohol sales for events. Mandy, you want me to address this one?
You can.
Many of y'all may have got that service from about 3 or 4 different individuals that wanted to look into the possibility of having a bar set up at a wedding venue that might be on a private piece of property. So that the caterer, the owner, whatever, could hire a trailer, so to speak, to come in and set up a bar and serve wedding guests. And, I had actually been put on the agenda before we started having our COVID-19 virtual meetings, rather than try to have this, as complicated as it could be. So just wait till we this is just for discussion, this is just for us to throw the ideas out and see if it's something we want to consider. If it is something we want to consider, then we'll need to get county attorney to look into some ordinance, language, and verbiage, and also reach out to the sheriff and see what kind of complications he can see from his standpoint. And
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this for only beer kind of thing, or would it be pouring
It'll
licenses?
be from,
Mixed drink?
all the requests I've had to look into are for mixed drinks and wine and beer.
Is that what infused products are, or what's infused?
The
products?
infused products is, we've had a lady contact us, like wanting to do candy apples infused with alcohol. and any kind of fruit
For Halloween?
infused with alcohol.
You know, things like that, right? That's what confused.
They have a mobile liquor license? I thought that'd be attached to the list.
I think that's the whole thing you gotta look into.
Yeah, that's one of the things
I
about.
mean, I-
Yeah, but if y'all aren't even interested in contemplating, I don't think.
Well,
we
you
need
know,
to
if
go
it's a
there.
major change, the governor signs that bill anyway, and the whole liquor license anyway. All the ones I know, you're attached to a lot, or an address.
Well, and again, that's something we need to get Andy to look into. I didn't feel like I could take it upon myself to tell these people that called, no, it can't happen. I just felt like I needed to run it across.
I think they got an event license, right, and if you have to, it's an event, a one-time or a temporary event license you can do. As far as permanent liquor license, I never ever motor, liquor license.
I think some other counties actually have.
Yeah, I think some counties are starting to put together ordinances for like food trucks that sell alcohol and stuff like that, but.
Well, that's fixing to change if he signs that bill anyway.
What bill are you referring to?
We got on the governor's desk right now, a bill that we're allowing delivery of liquor. All kinds of, changing the structure of the tiers, the 3 tiers of it, and
Well,
major changes.
do you see enough interest here for us to allow or ask the county attorney to look into it, again, do the research with the sheriff, and kind of bounce around if we would, what kind of fee we would charge her? Because needless to say, that the one event fee that's out there now is like, I think it limits even to
$500.
two a year, isn't it? Or 2
2
years.
a year, and it's $500 each event.
So,
So you want to limit to the mobile events? just
Yes.
events.
yes, and we can.
No restaurant or like.
No, and this could be something, if we get this far into it, that we could have the county attorney put in verbiage of the ordinance, so. I'm just asking if there's enough interest here to have them look into it and see what the law are, because I think it's maybe 4 or 5.
We
now
had
that have
4 or
called.
5 people call.
And I thought about it, at one time when I was doing more catering, because there is a need for it out there. It's just that you have to be so cautious about if they were to have something at a church, that certainly would be out of the question. You couldn't do it in the parking lot of a church, and then you have to get into how close we can get to a residence or another residence. There's
It's
several
all
things to
part of
look
state
into.
law already, but
That's true. So,
You gonna pass the chair? Does that cause more drinking and driving when people are at a wedding and things like that, if it's a flight, or is it gonna be the same amount anyway, because they brought it from home?
That's a good question. I don't know, we've never been faced with this before. What I am concerned about is infusing apples and fruit. I mean, there's abuse there. That's gonna get in kids, but, that the underage is what I look at too, is, how much of that, who's gonna check IDs and who's gonna monitor it and that sort of stuff. But that's something you'll check on with the license. The ATF will have all those answers for you.
I don't know how close you get to that.
Can we-
License at that point.
What's next,
You
Sheriff?
don't have
Marijuana
a
brownies?
That's right.
Infused products. That's,
That's gonna hurt your.
yeah.
so, what's the thing,
we'll have to check into it. I think by the time he checks into it, he signs that bill, it's a major change anyway.
Okay. All right, then I'm gonna make a motion that we allow or ask the county attorney to look into the feasibility of it, and at least we can give these people an answer one way or another.
So you want me to look into as far as maybe going forward with the pouring options, and not just for this, but for all unincorporated businesses, restaurants?
Yeah, because it's, the next thing we're gonna get is that it's not right for somebody to have it at a wedding or a venue like that, and a restaurant can't have it, so.
So right now, we don't have poor licenses in the county, we do. That is a point, because like you take some out of hillbillies, if they want to have poor license, but yet somebody come to one time event out there, and you do it, but they can't.
You second? I second.
Yeah.
We have a motion to second. Any discussion? Where's my motion completely ambiguous?
Restate it again.
This motion is to request the county attorney to look into the possibility of an ordinance that would allow low alcohol sales, poured beer and wine, as well as infused products, and a pouring license, it's gonna have to incorporate a pouring license possibility for established restaurants and businesses. Is that clear?
I'll come with what I find, maybe next time y'all can kind of narrow down the language and we'll put,
Okay.
you guys that far, we'll put the language together and work it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, I do have an issue or problem with it. Taking fruit or something like that, because it does really cause some concerns, not only with children, but also with open container. You can't,
How do you label it?
yeah, because you haven't bit into the apple yet, I mean, so it's like, okay, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
No.
Commissioner Roberts,
No.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
This can be unusual, yes.
Did you call that roll again, please? Okay, the next item is discussion of J.C. Landon. And it's going to go back to the demolishing of the existing bank store.
Well, what I was talking about, you asked for some
Prices.
prices, and so what went out of here is the metal buildings that I plan over there, probably a little more difficult to be removable, so we have a wood frame building over there, and found only one vendor right now, and probably others, in the county that does this thing. So a building of 12 by 36 is $8,800, and that's what I'm recommending to go with. You got yours, and a 12 by 12 by 24, excuse me, is $65.80. Concrete, it's already a concrete slab on there, we just have to extend it a little bit. $800 forms, $100 electrical, $400. And so, and HVAC is $900. That's not equipment and out there, that just provides the building and all that. We can share concessions with the ball field, some of it. Then to have a bake shop, I would just like to start off with worms and crickets. We got refrigeration, we got Coke machines, we got those kind of things we can start this thing with.
Yeah, I expect you get $300.
It ain't gonna take us a window unit. We're not gonna have a, and we took the HVAC that was out there. I don't know how great a condition it is, but we took it and salvaged that off as well, so.
That was done pretty new, but that was only a year or so old unit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You don't care the.
I know it was older than that. I don't remember having it in my venue, during my period of time of replacing that.
And that was a 5-ton?
You know, Commissioner, I don't know. It looked like a 5-ton to me.
It was.
I don't know what ton it was.
So we scrapped that, or what?
We salvaged it.
Okay.
It's out of the clerk's office. So we'll find a place to use it over there, we'll use it. And right now, you know, this is a window unit, we have this thing over here, we'll have, and you'll see this thing, we have the door comes in from the side, on the upstream side, the west side, and then it'll roll up door, on the east side or downstream side. And the wind is facing out toward the river. And just a little simple thing over there, just sit on that concrete slab that's right there, add a little bit more to it, and level it out, and if we don't decide to do something else down there, we can pick it up and move it somewhere else. It won't be a big deal over there, so, you know, I got right here on this, I got $11,200 something over here, but, I'd say $15,000 we ought to be in there easily, in and out.
And that's with no fixtures or anything, as
Um,
far as
there'll be some-
shelving?
No shelving, we're not looking at putting a lot in there. We may have a desk in there, but that 15 will cover all that. And Spec has a refrigerator and Coke box, we put worms and Cokes in there. We can use crackers that we sell at concessions and all other places, and kind of share that off and kind of combine that. You know, when we don't sell it at the concessions, we'll bring it down to the bake shop and vice versa, so. There's a talk of, you know, we have a little cricket box, you know, I mean, just have some minimal thing we can get Kirk to build us a little small cricket box, and and do that and have that supplied and sell it accordingly. Bait fish, I know I've had a couple conversations about that, and that's why they have the roll-up door, to bring the thing in and out of this thing. You know, I don't know whether, you know, my approach to this thing is take one step at a time. If the need's there, we can bring it down there, we can have a tub, we can have an aerator in it, and we can work it out. If we can sell a lot of goldfish, and, you know, my approach also too is to be concerned about the taxpayers that are selling this on top of the hill. You know, we don't necessarily want to be in competition with taxpayers,
And keep in mind too, that, this is just what I think and would like to see is, if we do this on an interim basis with county employees, this building, and the J.C. Landing Committee comes in and decides that with this plan of J.C. Landing, it's gonna be in the way, if they cut into the hill, make more parking or whatever, it is movable. And at any point, with this operation going, we decide to take bids on a contract based on J.C. Landing Committee's recommendation, this can be stopped at any time.
that's right, we can start.
I don't think you're gonna be able to move that building because you got the bathrooms out there.
But the bathroom's gonna stay, that's independent.
That's what I'm saying, they're gonna be right there.
Yeah, but they're not, this won't be attached to them. Now, mind you this now, on that, in this grant, if it is in the plan for those bathrooms to be demolished and new bathrooms built with the grant funds, that's all a possibility. Same it is, I'm just saying it's a possibility.
How far is it from me to Mr. John right there? Is that 24 feet or further?
It's pretty close.
Sheriff,
Right at it.
this overall is probably 30.
Yeah, I gotta take that.
You got an iPhone, you gotta take pictures.
Tiles are 4 feet,
How's it what?
4 foot each.
So I think the slab of there is about close to 40 feet out there. So this, the 36 will fit right on.
My thing is, the whole complication we had in the previous part of it was the fact that we was gonna prepare a building, we're asking somebody to prepare a building. Why are we even talking about putting county employees out there to begin with? Because you're talking about functionality days, 7 days a week, that's gonna take care of 2
No,
employees.
it won't be that, it won't be that bad.
That's what we were telling them how to do. I'm just saying that if you do run the kind of hours that we're talking about trying to do, just your insurance portion, divide out the $2.1 million, that's $11,000. Okay, it's $11,000 just in self-insurance per employee, that's $22,000, not counting their base pay. Why would we want to get in business? It's pretty simple. Once we put that building there, you can have somebody in there in 30 days, and you set the terms. You said $500 a month, 10% of the deal, and we no lose at all. There's no lose for us at all. And then you just decide which one of the people you want to let do, because the terms are set. How would you want to have that cost? And we're gonna go stock the bait shop. If you go stock the property, all the things you're gonna do, you're gonna be $5,000 for stock in there, plus fixtures. Why do we want to do that at all? If we put the building there, you put the building there, you put it out for bid at so much rent, so much, they got to pay us on the top of the hill, we're out of business. There's no lose for the county whatsoever.
And we're talking about $60,000 for an employee with benefits and everything,
We're
roughly.
not gonna be just on running that bait shop down there, no, sir. That, you know, we just do that on an interim basis. They'll have other responsibilities, and we're not talking about, I wasn't, in my perception of this thing is different than when we started out, Commissioner. When we started out, we were talking about a full-fledged, you know, this is what we're doing. This is just an interim proposal, but to come back and say, part-time people, we hire part-time people for concessions at the ball field, we
How many
hire,
hours a week
you know, and maybe have somebody more dedicated down there to come down and check up on things.
Just check how many
Maybe not
hours a week
open it up
you see that.
4 hours a day, you know, from dawn to after lunch. And some weeks, not even open it up at all, depending on in the wintertime, there's no need to have it. Summertime, it may be 7 days a week, so.
Well, and when you get something like that and you're only open sporadically, people are not gonna, you know, they don't know when to go down there. And that was the whole idea of having a concessionaire. When you have a concessionaire, you know when it's open, because we gave them a minimum on what they were to stay open. And I understand what you're saying, this is a temporary thing, but we're looking at taking, the taxpayers taking the brunt of the cost of opening up a business at $60,000 employee, whether he works there or not. We're paying $60,000 for somebody to be down there, the inventory, to stock the building.
You know, Commissioner, I was
The
talking
whole wild
about
card, I don't know why
full-time
we
down
was
there.
building, is what I'm saying. The whole wild card we had in the last situation was the fact that we was asking somebody to go and spend money to repair the building. That was where all the confusion was. Now that we're gonna put a building there, we got rid of the old one, there's no confusion at all. You tell them what they pay for rent, you put it up for the rent. You put up the percentage you want from the top of the hill, done. There's no loss for it all.
Well, then let's do this, you know, you came up with the building idea several weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's what I think the next one idea. I think it was the next one idea to tear that one down because of the cost it's gonna take to renovate. So, let's just do it one step at a time. This discussion could be tonight to purchase this building, put the slab in, set
It's
the
6
building
week
down here.
delivery on that site, so,
6 to 8 week delivery.
yeah, like 6 week delivery on that.
I'd like to.
Plenty.
Motion?
Sure.
I make a motion that we buy this building, that we're talking about, and then we put out the bid, $500 a month rent, 10% on the hill, and let somebody take it back. It's pretty simple.
I got it, look,
There's no lose to the county, we have nothing in it.
I respect your motion, but what I'm asking is, let's do this one step at a time. Let's take this, do the building, do the slab, and then,
I totally agree with that. I don't agree with the county employee, because you're gonna stop, you're gonna have county employee, you got somebody that's gonna get insurance, you got, by date, we got to have inventory.
let me
we gotta
give you a
have-
business model, business plan on that side of that discussion. If you're satisfied with the building, then we can buy the building over there, and I can have a business model laid out over there, exactly what you're talking about, what the plans were. Now, if you're not happy with the plans, we can adjust it, and you can be right, that you can have somebody come in here if we don't like to run it by county employees. The beauty about this thing is too, J.C. Landing Committee comes back and y'all decide that this doesn't fit J.C. Landing, I don't have to get somebody out of the contract. This is on an interim basis, and I'm proposing a retreat at the end of this month, and I got a little bit of time up there, I want to have this discussion about that, and I can be more prepared.
3 or 8 weeks out on the building, you said?
6 weeks.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
You said you're 8 to 9 weeks out on the building?
I know, it's, I think about 6 weeks
That's
on
not bad.
the building. So it gives enough time to go figure something out.
I just personally not interested in the county running it all.
I spoke to several of the committee members today and asked them what they thought, and none of them were for a county employee running it, because they felt like, you know, one of the questions was, do we have that many people at the rec department that one can afford to leave there and work 40 hours out at a bait shop? And then in the May meeting, you also said sometimes we may run it 24 hours a day.
Oh, no, I didn't understand.
Yep, right there in the May meeting, said that sometimes we'll run it 20, I read it while ago. Sometimes we may run it 24 hours a day.
We ain't gonna run, read that again then, you got that again?
I didn't say that. And if
It's
I
just
say
another
it,
lose.
it's quoted over there, so.
Well, okay, let's hold on.
We agree with the building.
Okay, will you make a plain and clear motion on what we're gonna do with the building? Let's get that behind us.
Yeah, I have a question, that we accept the bigger of the two, that we get the structure in place, and then, yeah, go from there. I definitely agree.
All right, would you expand your motion to say that we can spend X number of dollars? Right now, it's
Well, where's the money
$11,000.
coming from, man? It's lost, okay.
Right now, it's $11,200, and that's not counting any fixtures
Let
inside.
me just sit there and
We'll have
say,
to
give me
get just out of contract.
up to $15,000 over there to do this over there, just give us some room if we miss something in the estimate. But the building is $9,000, $8,800, so that's pretty good. But the air conditioning, concrete over there, sometimes you run into problems during construction.
Put us a total here for him to recommend.
15. Not to exceed. and we'll come under that.
Yeah, I think so.
Fair enough?
I think it's 5,000 over budget.
All right, Commissioner Hickox, put a number there, and let's move on with this.
$10,500.
Well, these totals right here come up to $11,200.
Yeah, the
You got
concrete.
air conditioning already, if you take that one, you don't got it on the curtain.
But that won't, it'll cost more money to put the ductwork in that thing up
You
there.
don't need ductwork, so you put a turnout.
An air conditioner,
Well,
and just a
it's-
window unit. It'll cost more money to go back and put that other air conditioner. Window unit is what is estimated right here.
I mean, there, guy, it won't cost more money to take that. But, okay, you wanna
Make the motion and let's move on.
$11,000.
$11,000.
What numbers you got, I mean, you gonna, numbers less than what you got there?
It's $11,200 is what.
Now, I went with the number he said, 11,000.
That's about the
$11,200.
Is that?
That's what, yeah, that's what I got it.
That's what you need, you don't need 15?
Sorry?
We'll just put the building, we'll get the building ball up there, we'll go from there.
Okay, all right, I'll second. All right.
$11,200.
Any more discussion on that? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes. All right, appointments.
Can I make a motion first? Another motion? On the way, what? On the down there. I make a motion for, we take the, have you done anything on the walkway for the grant? And don't we have another grant that's already in place, waiting on the first one to go through? They can send you a copy of a grant this week or this month on the next one that's coming through. Well, I make a motion for bids on a walkway for the trail grant. That we get that by the next meeting.
You got the specs on it, the scope on it?
That's what I'm making the motion for.
I don't have the scope, Commissioner, and I've been delaying that because I don't have the scope. We went through this whole situation during the tax increase, and we didn't have a good scope down there. How do I get it down there? What scope of it is, and y'all formed a committee to help come up with that. What does it need to look like? Do we need to go out into the beach area, or do we need to go along the ridge right there, or how do we go do that? And I'm going out and get bids over there, but I really don't have a good scope, and that committee needs to help guide the vision for what y'all want to have.
That's a committee, yeah.
No, I talked with Mr. Thomas this week, and we're trying to pick a date to have the first meeting after they did that to you. He hadn't gotten back with you when we were back in meeting. So, Commissioner McCreary, what would you like to base the bids on, if you want the administrator who got bids, based on what?
I've been a commissioner for a year and a half now, and not one thing has been done with that grant. And we did the archaeological study for $5,500, as part, a portion of the in-kind on that, and nothing has been done.
But my question is, what do you want him to get bids on? You said on the walkway, what do you want him to base the bids on, your requests?
On the walkway going down to the river.
Do we have any plans and specifications on whether that walkway is 5 foot wide, 8 foot wide, 6 foot wide? Do we have that information?
I don't think that matters. I think DNR is giving you a set amount, and you just build it with what funds you, I mean, it's $180,000 plus $20,000.
I'd like to give him something to go to the contractors on and say, I need a price per linear foot, I need a price for so many steps, I need a price for so width, and a beginning and an end for a walkway. We need some parameters to give. For example, I'm a general contractor. If he comes to me and he says, I want you to give me a price on a walkway down here. Okay, that's long and string, but I just need to get some guidance on parameters.
I see what you're saying, Chairman, I also see what he is. But my thing is, his frustration, I am too, is the grant's been sitting there and it's not moving anywhere. But I see what you're saying, inspection. My question is, how about this, how about see if we get some specs within a month? Can we do that?
Do it.
Some specs.
Within a month, make some motion.
When is the committee gonna meet?
I hadn't called no meeting yet, it's just gonna be
why we can't, I mean, this is not why coming on the committee, I mean, that's their job, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying, let the Zoom meeting tell us what they want, and it's just sitting there. It's sitting for a long time.
And I think that, you know, we'll go wherever y'all want to go, and we'll do whatever y'all want to do. Right now, the scope of that is very vague, and what I know in my experience, in professional life over there, is if you don't have a defined scope over there, you might as well just open that pocketbook, because it's just gonna go, or you're not gonna be pleased with the outcome.
All right, let's do this.
And I think that y'all formed this JC committee for that very reason, to help define what the vision is for JC Landon. And once we do that, once y'all establish that, then we go get quotes, and we go get
Listen, it's got meeting with the Zoom meeting, and
Ralph, I don't know we can do a Zoom meeting without any people. Let me reach back out to
We
Lindsay.
have a group meets every Sunday, and how many's on it, Jim?
There's 125.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
We can set it up, guys, I've been waiting.
Let me get back with Lindsay and see if he's available. We've talked back into two or three times, so we're gonna get together after the holidays and see when we can call a meeting.
I'm sure here's Zoom, it's real clear, it's a lot clearer than.
Isn't the Zoom one that got hacked in at McIntosh County with the board?
I'm not into that.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
We want them to hack into ours, so they can see.
I'm not one for it.
I'm not like
I'm just
that.
saying that there's,
Do you want, to modify your motion in some form or fashion?
I don't know, I mean, have we looked at any other DNR grants that have successfully gone through and built a walkway? Because I know there's more than just ours that have received that grant and actually built the walkways.
I think I can answer it. I think I can answer it and clarify some of this. When we got that grant, just about the time all the paperwork was done and we were ready to go, we had a millage rate increase. And I, for one, was not about to suggest spending $20,000 in kind money of the county's money, the taxpayers' money, for a grant at JC Landon while we're raising taxes. Didn't do it, wouldn't do it, and would have voted no if we decided to do it. So here we are. We got the ball rolling again with the committee to make some decisions on JC Landon and COVID hits. Now, we come out of COVID. I promise you, I will expedite a meeting. I'll get with Mr. Thomas. We'll get a meeting expedited, all the groups together, figure out how we can meet, and we will do our best to have a meeting.
This
before our
building
next
that
county
we're
commission.
buying, would that and the bathroom repair being the head and trail, would that be considered part of income?
Yeah, we can do that. Well, I don't know about the building over there, but, I mean, it's all, we got the in-kind taken care of. I think we did the in-kind over there, but still, just the scope of the work, going out, $200,000 going out in that river swamp ain't gonna get you very far.
Well, and if you remember, when I was, when we were looking at getting a concessionaire to come in, the trailhead was gonna be part of the in-kind portion, so it wouldn't have been anything coming out of the county's pockets or the taxpayers' pockets.
I don't know all this, Commissioner. I don't know where you get all this information
From
about that.
DNR, the one that gives the grants,
I
because
got
I
you.
called,
I don't know what you
them
mean
and
by
asked.
trailhead would be any kind of, you've lost me there.
Because the trailhead, that's what I called them and asked them, I said, is there any way we can use that as an in-kind portion by having it ADA compliant? So, at the trailhead, you're gonna have a place for them to go to the bathroom and things like that, and they said, yes, we could use that money as an in-kind portion, and that was supposed to come out of the concessionaire if we'd gone through with that. And that way, we wouldn't have had any more money, because we did have the archaeological study done. And we already paid for that, and that's already come out of the taxpayers' pocket. But the rest of it would have been as our in-kind portion and something we needed to do anyway.
I don't see how you feel like the concessionaire paying for it would have not come out of the taxpayers' money, when we would have been bound to reimburse the concessionaire.
That's exactly right, but we would have had a building fixed for that. And we wouldn't have had money come straight out of our pocket.
You could do that kind of work in a lot of ways, so it doesn't have to be the building. There's a lot of ways to do any kind of work, clearing, hauling dirt down there for what we do. I mean, we do this all the time. This is not, an in-kind work is not necessary cash. And it could have been a trailhead, as you say, or it could have been anything else down there that we assisted on. So all we gotta do is keep up with our time and justify the amount of money we have to pay our people to go do that, or anything
Well,
like
I
that.
understand, I think the frustration here is, we've been sitting 2 years on empty J.C. Landon. So, so move forward, we got the building, moved on already?
Yeah.
Okay, we got that. So we got the building. Now we're talking about getting the bait shop. This is the next part, making action on it. It's already paid for through the grant.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, and I fully understand. Problem is, we've got to have some parameters on what we're gonna spend that $180,000.
If not, Zoom, something similar.
Okay.
And let's let them do what we ask them to do.
I'll reach out and see if we can't get a meeting prior to our next county commission meeting.
That'd be good.
Given that, do you want to continue with a motion, or are you okay with that? Promise that we're gonna try to have a meeting before the next county commission. You were making a motion, and I don't want to interrupt that if you want to
Well,
leave.
I just want something to be done. If the committee's gonna do it and we're gonna have a meeting, I mean, COVID's been on for a long time, and I know our church was the same way. We shut it down, but we're open back up now. We're not doing the same thing like Commissioner Thomas said. We're not back to normal yet, but we're still meeting and we're social distancing at 6 feet
I
apart.
guess that's
So,
not a motion, I'm seconding what he's saying, and I want to see something different.
yeah, I just wanna,
All right, either clarify that motion, or let's take it as, I'm gonna call a meeting, and we'll go with that.
okay? I make a motion that you are gonna uphold your promise to have a meeting with the committee to get us a scope of work for the walk down there, and that Ed, somebody he appoints, goes and looks at another boardwalk before our next meeting, so that we have something to go on.
All right, if you don't mind, since you'll second that.
I second that, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? I do. I want you to find somewhere where there's a boardwalk so we can send somebody to look at it.
Okay. I know we're
I
three
know
of
you
them.
got some close contacts.
So we're gonna modify the motion
So
to,
get
yes,
us
so
some,
we'll find.
get us some allegations.
I will do it.
And,
If you send that to me, I'll go make it, we'll go look at it.
See, that's the problem.
I'll
That's
attend
no
that.
problem. And Commissioner,
Hallelujah.
I
I'll
won't
attend
get it
that.
done as fast as you do, but I need a scope,
Gotcha.
I need
Progress.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
I don't even know if I'm yes or no. All this crap we've been talking about. Whatever.
Yes. Let's have a yes vote. Commissioner Perry made a motion.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
move around.
And I'll attend, Ed, when he finds a location, if you let me know where it is, he lets me know where it is, I'll go to it as well
Okay.
and get some photographs.
And I'll go also.
All right, good deal. Okay, anything else on J.C. Landon?
So my direction pretty clear. I'm gonna buy the building right
Yes.
here. Yes. And all the stuff up
And
there.
you're limited to spend $11,200
$11,200.
for the building, the slab, the air conditioner, electrical, and plumbing. And we'll go from there.
And I think you can reuse that, 5-10 units you put
Y'all
up.
do that at the side. Okay, we'll make on to, appointments. DFAX board, District 1 has a representative, Ms. Stacy Harris, that's been serving, for quite some time on the DFAX board now. I haven't had a chance to reach out to her, nor have I had a chance to reach out to, the director of DFAX now, see how that's working out, so I'm gonna table that appointment.
How long was that appointment?
They're yearly, aren't they? They're 4 years?
We just put her on there.
DFAX may be
I think it's a 2-year appointment.
2 years.
So it's 2. So I'm gonna table that one.
Need a second that, or you just gonna agree on it?
No, need a second.
Second.
We don't need to vote on it.
Yes, to table, you do. Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Commissioner Hires.
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
The next is Hospital Authority, at large, currently serving Dr. Lane Hendricks, his term expired at the end of June.
Lance.
Lance Hendricks. As far as I know, he's, from all indications I get, he's doing a good job. The Hospital Authority is pleased with him, but we still have to submit 2 additional names to go along with his to the Hospital Authority. If we decide to continue to have him serve, we still have to submit 2 other names, and they vote on that. So unless y'all had a chance to think about it or are prepared to provide 2 other names to go along with his, then I'll make a motion to table that one until we have a chance to talk about it.
Who's in?
Lance Hendricks, he serves as He actually serves, it's dual role really, it's about at large, but he's also serving as a representative of the medical field on the hospital authority. So I'm gonna make a motion that we table that one until the August meeting.
And who's gonna get those names? One of us needs to.
Between the three of us in that August meeting, we will have to decide on 3 names. So each one of us could provide another name, but we've got to vote on 3. I have a motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Likewise, item C in the hospital authority at large, currently David O'Keefe is serving, his term expired in June.
Second.
I'll also make the same motion.
No, second.
After we can discuss 2 other names.
And the hospitals board is doing a good job. I think we got to run the hospital. Know we got a procedure we have to do. I mean, it's one, but I can't go all be satisfied with what we're doing.
I'm certainly satisfied with the way these 2 have served.
Yeah.
I will be one of the first to nominate them back, both to go back.
But we got to put some more.
Well,
names
we
in.
have to put 2 more names in there, so they can choose. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that one? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
Okay. On the agenda, item 13, Mr. Administrator.
I just want to remind y'all about the mediation on the 28th. That's correct, Mr. Baker? 28, 26, I think it's, so, verify that all y'all need to be present here. On that, this is, on Hall Bluff. I don't know what they call it now, but it's on Hall Bluff. So, we have mediation scheduled for that time. Retreat, again, I'll remind y'all, I talked to you about a retreat, I need to have, and a lot of discussion over there. I'd like to have it, starting at lunch on the 23rd, it'll be a Thursday, and in the morning of the 24th, it'll be Friday. Got a lot of things covered.
This time on
Thursday? I'm looking right now, Commissioner, about lunch, maybe 11 o'clock. I got a lot of things to cover over there. We'll get y'all out by 5. We're gonna have it here at the airport and do it similar to what I did last time. I'm gonna bring different people in, versus me sitting up there making all the comments. I'm gonna bring different people in and talk about what's happening in the county and what y'all need to be thinking about in the future. It's not only actions necessarily out of this meeting, other than you need to know this is coming. And that y'all need to be thinking about, different aspects of it, whether it be, the economic growth is happening, what's that the name I'm just bringing over there, elections, fire and safety, so forth, so on there, criminal justice, what comes down to, mental health, and those kind of things. So, again, that's on the 23rd, 24th, I'm finding out, different people coming in.
If possible, I'm just one person, but it kind of splits my day up, and I'm working out of town. I prefer to be early in the morning and do it over there rather than the other way, because then I don't have time to do anything other place.
You wanna do it on Friday?
I'd rather do mornings, and that way at least I got the evening to work.
I was gonna split it up, to be honest with you, because it's gonna be a long day. If
Well,
you're
one
gonna
more
be,
He's just talking about doing the first part in the morning
Yes,
instead
rather
of
than
lunch till.
Because that just kills my whole day if we start.
oh, okay,
I can't do it.
you just said to split it up there, but you want to do Thursday morning, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Yes, sir,
When you make it lunchtime, then I've lost the whole day there.
it's up to y'all, I'm just trying to work it around.
I'm just wondering if.
So 6 o'clock Thursday morning.
I can do that. Who ain't listening?
He just said something.
So I'll do it in the morning and through lunch over there, and I think that's good, Commissioner. I don't have a problem if the rest of y'all agree with that.
So
And I'll work
Amanda,
out a
you gonna-
schedule.
Amanda's gonna send us the times.
Yes, sir. I still have to go through this thing. I got a lot of things to try to carve up the time, how much time I need for to have this discussion. But I can do it both mornings.
That'd be best.
Yes, sir, we do it, I'm fine with that.
All right. Okay, what next? Well, you said the airport, is this gonna be 2 mornings then? It'll be Thursday morning till noon and Friday morning till noon? Okay. All right. What's next?
That'll work for you? Work for you, sir?
Yeah.
All right. You know, other thing I got to talk about over here is I got a new animal control specialist. His name is Robert Derrick. He is from, he's not originally from Wayne County, but he lives here a while there. He's comes with a lot of, I think credentials, not necessarily in animal control, but in, law enforcement and military. And, so I think he's very energetic. We're in the process of getting them all outfitted, got him the vehicle up there, but I think he's getting a radio in his vehicle right now. I'm gonna put him out there. I've met him, he's met with James and Ashley, and I'll get around to Dr. Hall, and I'll get around to meeting, I think some of y'all come in and met him. But we ought to be doing some animal control in probably the next week or two, for sure. Just didn't want to get him out there until he quit, with it, and we'll follow the guidelines that we set forth earlier in the year. So, a lot of discussion, like each one of you to meet him. We'll have a dedicated phone line for him. He has a cell phone number. Very energetic, very, he lives out toward, he lives out in Commissioner Hires' district, way on out there. But very, I think, very fortunate we found him. So, just want to let y'all know that we got somebody on board. Harvey Lake, we're gonna have to have, to close it and go through the formalities, we had it on the agenda to have a public hearing, concerning closing Harvey Lake Road and then transferring, going to the roadside there and resolve that situation, with the pit. The public, then the coronavirus came through and we had to postpone that, so I may need to have a public, or I'm gonna have to have a public hearing, on this, closing this road. If we continue on with emergency orders and this COVID up there, I'm probably gonna change the venue. So next month's meeting may need to be at a different venue, and I may be looking at the Benning courtroom to have the public hearing and then the regular meeting in a bigger place. Accommodate. I don't expect anybody really to come, except for the interested parties, but it's still a public hearing, and I can't restrict that part of it. So just be aware that we got that. That's it. Here, I got the balances. We did borrow a little bit from the TANs this month, but we're still looking in pretty good shape from that standpoint. You have the budgets in your workbooks, and we'll get back on that work session process here next month too, I hope.
Is your collections on your taxes, like, sales loss and all, is it lower than expectation because of?
It's actually, it's hard to kind of gauge that because it always fluctuates, but it's kind of on par. It's not really, I didn't see a real dip in that, but, you know, I'm sure there is, but there's a lot of other activities going on. You know, I know the restaurant business has suffered. I know the other businesses have suffered. But if you look around, that all manufacturers are wide open. You know, right here just had shut down, that brings in tax money, for us. And Comores, Southern Alliance is just not starting up. And there's been a lot of activity and they'll be going at that. So it's kind of a mixed bag from this stuff. And I think several of our manufacturers along Sunset Boulevard are doing very.
But you're not seeing the sales tax drop?
I think that, as crazy as it sounds, I think the sales tax loss in, for example, the downtown businesses and restaurants and stuff, I think that the offset from
Walmart,
the nurseries, the Walmarts, the hardware stores, I think that that brings that balance back up.
And again, Commissioner, it's one of those things, it's hard to gauge that because it just is fluctuating up there. But in general, I haven't seen a huge order of magnitude drop off in it. So, you know, I don't say that there isn't.
I was asking that to.
Yes, sir.
For the budget.
Yes, sir. No, I think we're in good shape on the budget, Commissioner. I would also sit there and say this, nothing's for free. So the state received $4.1 billion from the Fed for part of CARES Act, as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And so they divvied it up and sit there and come up with a formula about how many, what share of that 4.1 the cities and the counties would give. And I ain't got the numbers right in front of me, but Wayne County ended up with between $950 and $1 million allocated. Now, as stipulated in the governor's letter to all the counties and the cities up there, this is not a windfall. And this is just to offset any cost associated with COVID-19 or anything. The rules are identified, but Amanda and I haven't seen clear rules about what we could use it for. But there is that money out there for if we had to do something extra there. Now, we've already applied for a grant. The Sheriff's Office helped us with applying for a grant for the State Circuit District and Feds. And that was kind of a match, and it was like 50 cents on the dollar. And we applied for that. We have received it. We also applied for, y'all approved it last month, $20,000 on the airport, which we covered expenses from that standpoint. Now, again, there's nothing. What will happen if the cities and the counties don't use it all up, and they'll go back in the fund, and then the state will redistribute. I don't know what kind of strings they have on it, but that is a cushion for anything else that comes up. We're not completely through this act, and there's a lot of things that the courts have done, which are to a benefit to us in the long run, but they had to do it because of COVID-19. And that's court call and remote monitors and all those kind of things over there. The displays out there, but I think we're all in good shape. So that was just to tell you there's money to help us out in extra costs associated with this COVID-19. So I don't know all the stipulations about it, but they always stipulations, always strings about this thing on here. So we got that part of it. I think we're in good shape financially right now on the general fund. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I got right now.
All right, thank you, sir.
I do have one thing. I just want to sit there and congratulate Mr. Beaver on a new addition.
Yes. Congratulations. Commissioner Hickox?
Just one person. I prefer we stick to the 7 PM meetings because 4 o'clock means I lose half of the day too. And I do my service here, not asking not to, but unless it's necessary to do 4 o'clock, our set time is Monday first Monday at 7, I'm sticking with that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Commissioner, I put it out there. I put a note out there, nobody's complaining up there, but I agree with you, I'll take the
I'm not
responsibility.
fussing, I'm just asking for it.
Yes, sir.
There's a reason we stick to our time.
No, I think this is more or less a one-time thing because we're kind of mixing virtual with first new real life meeting back. Then we'll go back to, we'll be at 7 o'clock.
That's fine.
August meeting.
I'm mentioning this only because it is a big deal, concerts that we run through the drive-in, we did the first one, it was, ran with Greg Cleveland, we were watching it close. I think I understand, I had 4 deputies out there, 5 deputies, we kept everybody apart, everybody seemed to be happy with it, there's 4 more to come. Amazon has ran it every other Wednesday for the rest of the month and a half, so there's a lot of driving, all the activities, bringing a lot of people here. We're taking every effort possible to make sure I keep everybody safe, to keep them making the situation anymore when I can. So if you have any questions about that, just get with me on that. Last thing is the parks, those posts. We talked about that one time before. You know, we haven't approved the changes to the park. We haven't been voted on to make the changes that, that have been talked about. I understand why they're posted there. Right now, I think that people need to be able to have access to the place. Some of the gates are locked, but they can't go use the fields. You know, they need to get out of the house and go to something. What's wrong with them using the facility they pay for? I just don't get that. I'd like to see them posted up. Sorry?
$20.
Yeah, no, it's killing me. I personally like to see them posted up. We talked about that in one meeting. I think you mentioned it, and Herschel mentioned it. I was the quietest one to do it, but they're still sitting right there where people, when you able to do that. I had somebody call me when it was Memorial Day. They went to visit the memorial, which is inside that, and they had, they were elderly, and they had to walk to it, and I just don't see the purpose of those.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm not sure, I'm a commissioner.
I like spec in that, and what I plan on doing on retreat is have a full-blown discussion about rec. And whatever y'all decide.
That decision that we're talking about doing hadn't been approved yet.
What decision?
About the modifications to the park, which is why they're saying the poster's still there. That hasn't been approved by the board yet. The poster blocking these people. You got, when people are gonna watch your young play down there on the junior field, this is a nice little walk down through, it's just another, a kid got, nearly hit or got hit. You know, I raised my kids at that field out there, you know? And I've been out there, it's been that way for a long time, Mike, you've been out for a long time. And it comes down, the parents gotta watch your youngsters. Look, man, you got elderly people gotta walk a long ways to go watch your young play. I just don't see the purpose in the poster.
Let's do this, let's let Spec address it at the retreat, and the retreat will be between now and the next, regular meeting. Let's let Spec address it. My opinion's changed on it. I see the need more for the post now, especially after talking to some of the people out in the community. I've had a lot of no's, don't like it, don't want it, let's move it, but I've had a lot of, I'm happy with it like it is.
Well, what about locking the gates up where they can't get in the field? Why can't they use it?
Well, some of that's done for vandalism purposes.
What field? Soccer field.
Soccer field, baseball field?
Soccer field has been locked up for 10 years, and the reason locked it up is because they were going out and putting donuts on the soccer field. They were going out and doing everything else. They were going out and letting the dogs use the fields.
Yeah, that's not something that's just.
And Steve Carr locked it up, and for that reason.
Right now, though, it's more brought to light because people need something to do, to get out. You know, we have this facility, I understand what you're saying, but they need something to do right now, and that's.
And the people that do play soccer, they play on the other field next to the Sunset.
I'm not for opening those things up and just letting them have free reign out there. I mean, when we have parks and recreation employees out there where they can, they can kind of watch it, I'm okay with it, but not just having it unlocked for free reign. I'm not for that at all.
So you don't think people got a right to use the field they pay for?
I do have the idea they have the right to use the field they pay for. What I don't have is that they're just open for anybody to go in at any time. I mean,
I just take back when my son, my oldest son, he played ball. We used to go out there on Sundays and Saturdays, and I'd give him some balls and practice with him. I don't see what they hurt a thing.
well, I think there's places out there they can get to easily to do that. But now, we're living in a different time than we were when your son was a young man. I mean, truthfully, I'm not being facetious. I mean, look at what they did to the baseball fields.
Yeah, I get that. That's messed up. Somebody doing donuts and fill up. But then, you know, we also live in a time when you got technology. Pretty cheap, you put a camera up and you can catch these people too. Back then, it was a little more expensive. I just like some
Will
people
you
have to-
allow, you agree to let's address
Just
the
wait till
spec?
the end until we talk about them, but I just think right now more than anytime, probably in a long time, people need somewhere to get out and be able to do something.
And again, I think there are places they can do that on county property without the restrictions of the gates. I mean, but if you're okay with that, we'll get some more expression from spec. Mr. Rock?
Let me just tell you all a couple of things here. I'm out there to see spec probably every week. So the barricades, they take the barricades down at 7:30 when they come to work. They put them back up at 3:30. the barricades are down where folks can ride down there and mess around at the lake, do what they wanna do. And then my daughter goes out there every Wednesday. So the fields are open on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. They're open. Any of you wanna use. Now, they're not gonna let you on the fields after they go out there and dress the fields up for ball games. They're not gonna let you out on this week will be the last week of that.
So you're saying during the daytime, they pull the barricades down?
Yeah.
Every day?
They don't pull the barricade down going into the parking lot. Yes, not the barricades at.
I was out of Specs Mouth Friday.
If they did that, I'd be good with that, but that's not.
Yeah, they take barricades down during the week and let you go in, but they put a barricade back up at 3:30. Stop people from going in there and doing things they
So there's a
shouldn't.
ball game down there at Junior Field, does he take the barricade down so that he's the only people can drive out there?
The barricade's still there, but they have a golf cart down there that will take you down to the ballpark. Cause I'm one of the worst ones having to walk. So they're usually waiting there for me when I come up and they drive me down to the ballpark. That's what he's agreed to do. So we'll hear from him and just see exactly what they are doing. And, but I know the ball fields, my daughter, I went over last Wednesday and my daughter was on the softball field, hitting ground balls to Bo and Roman. She was hitting some, so we should kind of be.
We both do a long time, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
so that's good. I was gonna tell you that Friday was the last day that my son worked in the SEALs. He's done.
What's he doing there?
Well, he's coming home going to work in the SEAL Foundation in South Carolina. But he, I called him and he said, Dad, I'm on my way to work, last day. And I was like, look, I did want to tell y'all something about the bait shop. I went to the bait shop down here on the hill. I walked in and I said, I need some bait. She goes, what, you got cash? And I said, no. I said, I got my card right here. And she said, card reader ain't working. I said, well, how long has it not been working? She said, about 2 weeks. I said, how long before you gonna get it working? She said, about 2 weeks. And I said, I'll go to Henson's then, I'll go to Henson's. So I went to Henson's and got me some bait and gave them my car, but, you know, I don't know what their deal is there up on the hill, but halftime they ain't working. So that's aggravating, if, you know, whoever we have working, that thing needs to be working. Because I know, I went with Ed to Brunswick to see their bait shop. It's nice. That's a nice bait shop down there.
And they run it.
Yeah, they run it. They sell a lot. They said they shrimp is the biggest thing they sell down there. It's big time, big time. That's their big time money maker. So it's gonna be important for us to have somebody running. Whether we opt it out, or whether we control it or whatever, but it's gonna need to be open.
It's only 4 hours a day though, so
Yeah, it's gonna have to be more than that. It's gonna have to be.
you're going into a cost, major cost of adding employees.
So there's more to it than just, let's just get a building and have a bait shop. There's gonna be way more to it than that. And that building's gonna have to be locked up every night. And all your bait's gonna have to be put up where people can't get to it.
Bathroom gonna have to be
The
clean.
bathroom will have to be cleaned, and the doors ain't gonna be able to be tore off of it. So there'll be more to it. But now we had, when Ed and I have been down there several times, we've had 20 people come up and say, y'all open the bait shop back up? And we said, yeah. And they said, that's wonderful. So they're all wanting it open real bad. So we'll see if they do it. You know, he ain't been just sitting on his butt. We've been to Brunswick, we've been to there, we've been to here, we've been asking people. I've been asking people in my district, so there's some activity going on there, so maybe we can get some more activity virtual going and we'll see what goes on. I'm not. That's all I got.
Well, I realize, yeah, everybody's ready for it to be open. I just want to use the best option for the taxpayers, myself, for us to get it done. And Brunswick certainly is gonna be a better bait shop than Wayne County. When you go on the ocean, you have an opportunity for a lot more percentage off of your sales and things like that. I just, maybe you get that committee together and they can meet and they can make a decision on what they really want. Animal control phone number, how long can we anticipate for that to, come out so we can give it to people, or is it gonna be the same? I don't wanna send them to the city and them say, well, we don't have a county animal control officer yet.
By the end of the week or first of next week.
So you-
I get a number of their, again, the number is not the issue per se, and he's over there working with Ashley and James and Josephine. And they know each other and they get acquainted over there. We sat down with, I want to meet Dr. Hall and see what Dr. Hall, because they work under Dr. Hall's licenses for the drugs. Got that, but he would have been in here today, but he's getting the radio in his truck. And so he can have access to help when he needs it. So I expect them to be out this week. A phone number, we'll publish that, we'll send it out to everybody.
So it will be
There's a dedicated
different.
line to his phone. He's got a cell phone number, but there'll be a dedicated line for him to get most important messages.
For the county, and then one for the city will keep their normal one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at 911, you can also call 911. Emergencies will be the same thing. Emergencies, they come through all the time. We'll work it out. I'll send the number out. Hopefully this week.
That's all I have.
I want to reiterate congratulations to Andy and the newborn little girl. I think Mama's doing good. I don't know how Daddy's doing. That was already gone. Community sheriff, Ed, the rest of the county employees. I think we've all had a time for this COVID-19, but I believe we're working together to come through it as far as we have. Don't know what's facing us yet. We've got to commend the hospital and our first responders for what they do. That's all.
Yeah, I concur with you. I think Richard Johnson too has done a tremendous job.
Yes.
And so I want to recognize him and everybody else, and Ed, you guys. Mr. Chairman, I want to commend you for the job you do. You put a lot of miles on it the other day. People don't really know how busy you are, and I still work, but I appreciate you. And that's all I have. No problem.
All right, having no other further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved and seconded. Thank you for attending our first real live post-COVID-19 virtual meeting.
Mr. Jeff.